Star Wars 7x7, episode 2045. Alright, let's get back to our Clone Wars briefings to get you ready for Season 7 of the Clone Wars, which is coming out in less than 2 short weeks. Today we're going to talk about Season 6, Episode 1. It's The Unknown. Punch it! Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod and this is Star Wars 7x7. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. So here we are with The Lost Missions. These are the episodes that never made it to regular broadcast television or cable television, however you want to define it. But in the US and Canada, they debuted on Netflix in early 2014. And since then, they've been pulled off of Netflix and now they're on Disney Plus and so on and so forth. So here we are with the first series, or first story arc, I should say, in Season 6, and it begins with The Unknown. So there's a planet called Ringo Vinda, and by the way, this is a full spoiler briefing for you, so there you go. And apparently the Separatists and the Republic are at a standoff. Neither of them has been able to advance. This space station goes around the whole planet and each of them is trying to take it over, and it's just one big morass until a clone trooper named Tup starts acting very strangely indeed, talking about, good soldiers follow orders, like having these little, weird moments where he starts muttering to himself. And then, shock of all shocks, he strides up to a Jedi Knight in the middle of a battle and shoots that Jedi Knight at point blank range, shoots her dead. Oh. And obviously, if you've seen Revenge of the Sith, then you have an idea what's happening here. Tup is having some sort of malfunction with his Order 66 programming, but obviously the Jedi and the clones don't know what's going on. They just see him acting very strangely and think that there is some sort of separatist tie to it, but they don't know what it is. So they prep him to send him to Kamino and find out just what the heck is going on, because he doesn't even remember doing it. Meanwhile, Admiral Trench, who is the admiral on the Separatist side, has video footage of this happening because the moment it happened, the clones and Jedi all went into a retreat and fell back because it kind of compromised the position that they were establishing. Trench calls Count Dooku and says, "Guess what happened?" And once he explains it and Dooku gets a gist of what's happening, he says, "Thank you for letting me know." And Dooku's freaking out because he knows what the deal is, apparently. This was not something that I was aware of. The Count Dooku was in on the whole Order 66 plan. So he reaches out to Darth Sidious. Darth Sidious says, we can't let that clone, get into the Republic hands. And so the Separatists, surprise, surprise, attack the shuttle that's taking Tup away. And one of the things about this episode that I thought was particularly remarkable is that anytime there's an opportunity to deal with zero gravity because it's happening in a space station or around a space station, outside a space station, or with a disabled ship near a space station, there are opportunities for zero gravity. And the animation, I would say the camera work, but obviously it's not exactly camera work because it's animation, but they really take advantage of the fact that you're in zero gravity, and the camera angles on this episode are just fantastic. The way they maneuver everything around, they really take advantage of your unmooring in gravity and how that affects your perspective and the potential for showing you different visual perspectives in this episode. So that was, I think, one of the coolest things about this whole particular episode. So the Separatists get Tup and take him to the Separatist side of the space station because they got to get him on their own shuttle to get him to wherever they're going to take him. Anakin, Rex, and Fives are not going to have this, and so they manage to get over there. It's a huge contingent of battle droids, but their solution is to shoot grappling hooks onto the passing shuttle as it's taking off, and they manage to hook on and zoom in and disable the shuttle and take Tup back for themselves. And ultimately, at the end of the episode, they get Tup back on another shuttle, and they're going to take off and fly him back to Kamino. Rex is going to go with him, and Fives asks to come along as well, which is going to be a very important situation for future episodes in the story arc. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And that is where we leave things at the end of this episode. So It's kind of cliffhangery in a way, but it's more like, a to-be-continued story situation. It doesn't leave you, clawing at the screen, white-knuckled like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? Because you don't necessarily know, but it's going to be bad. Oh man, and that's just about it for this particular episode. That's it for the Clone Wars briefing, but there was one thing about Star Wars news-related stuff that I forgot to tell you about yesterday, and I'm going to tell you about that after the break. Stay tuned. Hey Rebel Rouser, I've made some changes to the asteroid belt level at patreon.com/SW7X7, and they are all with sponsors in mind. So if you want to get the word out about your business, your product, your service to a dedicated Star Wars audience, then please check out patreon.com/SW7X7 and look for the asteroid belt level for details. Again, that's patreon.com/SW7X7. Welcome back. So one thing I forgot to talk about in the news roundup yesterday was the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel that's being built in Orlando. It's still on track, it's still in production, it's still being built, and that was a note made by Bob Iger during the Disney earnings call earlier this week. But another thing that was announced separately was the fact that they are going to be taking first reservations for it later this year. When later this year? Don't know. Wouldn't surprise me. Everything seems like it should be tied around Star Wars Celebration. It's the big event, and it's happening in August, it's happening later this year. So it seems like that would be a great time to announce something like that, but maybe not. Maybe they'll do it, some other time. I don't know. All I know is it's happening later this year. Yeah, we'll have to see about the whole pricing situation, because man, from what the rumors were, it sounds pretty steep, but who knows? Maybe they'll surprise us. I certainly hope so. That's what I wanted to share with you. That was the other thing. And that is going to do it now officially for this episode of the show. Thank you so much for joining me for it, as always. And may the Force be with you, wherever in the world you may be.
Star Wars 7x7 is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2020 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.